Cesar Millan has become famous as the dog whisperer, the man who can tame the most untrainable dogs. But now he's being sued, accused of having a pit bull that bit.
For many years, Cesar Millan stood as the world's most recognized dog trainer, widely acclaimed for his extraordinary ability to calm and rehabilitate even the most dangerous dogs. However, behind this public persona, controversy trailed him persistently. Legal battles, shocking allegations, and increasing criticism began to erode his previously untouchable image. Now, after years of mounting speculation, the moment the public has anticipated has finally arrived: Cesar Millan's final sentencing. What truly happened? Is this the conclusion of the dog whisperer's journey, or does the story run deeper than it appears on the surface? Join us as we delve further. A young woman alleges she was viciously attacked by Millan's dog, resulting in injuries so severe that she had to abandon her dream of becoming an Olympic gymnast. "It essentially ended my career," she states. The same dog, named Junior, is also alleged to have fatally attacked Queen Latifah's pet. Lydia Matus, now 19, says she had been training in gymnastics since the age of 5. These incidents add to the ongoing controversies that have come to surround Cesar Millan. Known globally as the dog whisperer, Cesar Millan built a reputation as a master of canine rehabilitation. He was renowned for his ability to transform even the most difficult dogs into calm, obedient companions. Born in Mexico, Millan crossed into the United States with nothing but a dream and a natural gift for connecting with animals. Through relentless determination, he advanced from grooming dogs to training them, ultimately earning his own television show, Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan, which aired for nearly a decade. His techniques, which revolved around pack leadership, discipline, and psychological rehabilitation, gained widespread admiration. Celebrities sought his help, and dog owners across the globe hung on his every word. His rise to fame included best-selling books, endorsements, and influence throughout the pet training industry. Yet while many hailed his abilities, others became increasingly critical. Animal behaviorists and welfare groups questioned the efficacy and humanity of his dominance-based approach. These critics argued that his training methods were not only outdated but potentially harmful. Over time, allegations of animal cruelty, lawsuits, and legal issues began to threaten his professional standing. Despite frequent negative press and public debate about his legitimacy, Millan repeatedly managed to restore his image. But this time, the stakes are different. Cesar Millan now faces his final reckoning, an outcome that promises to surprise. What really happened? Stay with us as we uncover the full story. But first, let's explore how it all began. Cesar Felipe Millan Favela was born on August 27, 1969, in Culiacán, Sinaloa, Mexico. From an early age, he displayed a remarkable connection with animals. Growing up on a farm, he spent hours observing dogs, studying their instincts and modes of communication. His grandfather, a farmer deeply connected to animals, taught him the importance of calm and assertive leadership, a philosophy that would later underpin Millan's training style. As a teenager, Millan dreamt of becoming the world's leading dog trainer. But with limited opportunities in Mexico, he set out at the age of 21, entering the United States illegally with minimal resources and no knowledge of English. One of Millan's most loyal canine companions was Junior, a pit bull he often referred to as his best friend. Junior became a constant presence by his side throughout his dog whisperer journey. According to a lawsuit, Junior allegedly bit Lydia Matus multiple times, leaving deep puncture wounds and lacerations. Millan's move to the U.S. was a leap of faith, driven by ambition and belief in his talents. Settling in Los Angeles, he took on low-paying jobs, washing cars, cleaning kennels, while refining his understanding of dog behavior. His big break came when he landed work at a dog grooming salon, where clients quickly noticed his ability to manage aggressive dogs. Word spread, and soon Millan was working with some of Hollywood's elite. Actress Jada Pinkett Smith became one of Millan's earliest high-profile supporters. She admired his talent and even paid for his English lessons. With her encouragement, his career took off. In 2004, Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan premiered on the National Geographic Channel. The show became an instant success. Millan's concepts, like calm-assertive energy and the exercise, discipline, affection, trifecta, resonated deeply with dog lovers worldwide. His ability to rehabilitate difficult dogs seemed almost magical. But success came with scrutiny. As Millan's popularity grew, so did criticism over his techniques. While millions praised him for transforming unruly dogs, many within the veterinary and animal behavior communities began to push back. Critics claimed his methods, which relied heavily on dominance, pack hierarchy, and physical corrections, were not only outdated but damaging. Organizations such as the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior, OVSAB, and the Humane Society strongly opposed his use of forceful tactics, asserting they could instill fear and anxiety in animals. The criticism intensified as videos surfaced showing Millan using choke chains, alpha rolls, a technique where a dog is forcibly pinned on its back, and electric collars. These images triggered public outrage. Experts warned that such methods might suppress behavior in the short term but could provoke long-term aggression. Millan defended his approach, arguing that it reflected natural communication between dogs and humans. But criticism wasn't limited to professionals. Even some clients who turned to him for help filed lawsuits, accusing him of negligence and causing harm to their pets. Some of these cases gained significant attention. One prominent example involved a Labrador mix named Shadow. His owner had enrolled him at Millan's dog psychology center due to behavioral issues. Allegedly, the dog was subjected to harsh treatment, including extended use of a choke chain. After returning home, Shadow exhibited signs of trauma, excessive panting, trembling, and erratic aggression. Tragically, the dog later bit a family member and had to be euthanized. The owner sued Millan, claiming that the training worsened the dog's condition instead of improving it. Further disturbing incidents emerged. Several reports claimed dogs trained at Millan's facility attacked people shortly after their training. A particularly alarming case involved Gus, a pit bull previously featured on Dog Whisperer for attacking pigs. After being rehomed, Gus severely mauled a woman, raising doubts about whether Millan's training addressed the root of aggressive behavior or merely masked it. Animal activists and former clients began demanding accountability. Although supporters pointed out that Millan had saved thousands of dogs from euthanasia, the public mood began to shift as more unsettling stories came to light. Then came the incident that altered everything. One shocking case marked a turning point and sparked a comprehensive investigation into Millan's training practices. The dog at the center of it was Simon, a Belgian Malinois owned by a wealthy Los Angeles businessman. Known for his aggressive tendencies, Simon's owner enrolled him in Millan's training program, hoping for a miracle. Former staff members later claimed the dog was subjected to extreme techniques, repetitive leash corrections, physical restraints, and the controversial flooding method, in which a dog is overwhelmed by its fears until it stops reacting. Despite growing concern among some trainers, the program continued under Millan's supervision. But then came the incident that would dominate headlines, a violent attack. Stay tuned to discover what unfolded next. Simon was returned to his owner after allegedly completing a full rehabilitation program. However, the calm didn't last long. Just days later, tragedy struck during a social event at the businessman's residence. In an unforeseen outburst, Simon attacked a female guest who had merely extended her hand to pet him. The dog viciously clamped down on her arm, shaking it with intense force while she screamed in agony. The assault left the woman with serious wounds, including deep lacerations, nerve damage, and scars that would remain with her permanently. Emergency personnel had to forcibly remove Simon from her grasp, and in the aftermath, the dog was euthanized. As news of the violent incident spread rapidly, what truly fueled public outrage was the revelation that Simon had already been classified as a dangerous dog prior to his supposed rehabilitation by Cesar Millan. Reports surfaced alleging that Simon had previously bitten a trainer at Millan's dog psychology center, a critical detail that was purportedly concealed from the public. Critics condemned Millan for returning a hazardous animal to its owner without sufficiently resolving its underlying aggression issues. Animal welfare organizations quickly rallied, calling for a formal investigation into Millan's professional practices. In response to the growing public concern, Los Angeles County Animal Control initiated an official inquiry, joined by mounting pressure from influential groups such as PETA and the ASPCA. Accusations against Millan included gross negligence, animal cruelty, and failure to ensure safety for both the dogs under his care and the people around them. Law enforcement soon became involved. The woman attacked by Simon filed a lawsuit, claiming that Millan's methods directly contributed to her injuries. Prosecutors launched a comprehensive investigation, gathering testimony, reviewing old complaints, and speaking with former employees. As more disturbing revelations came to light, it became evident that this was not a mere controversy. It marked the beginning of a profound reckoning for the celebrity dog trainer. The unfolding legal drama surrounding Cesar Millan evolved into one of the most publicized courtroom battles in the history of the pet training industry. Prosecutors presented damning evidence, including first-hand accounts from ex-employees who described a work culture where abusive methods were routine. One former trainer disclosed that dogs were regularly subjected to harsh treatment, some suffering unreported injuries. Others testified that Millan actively discouraged staff from filing complaints, concerned about how such reports might tarnish his image. The victim's legal representatives argued that Millan's training techniques didn't truly rehabilitate aggressive dogs, rather, they suppressed critical warning signs, increasing the danger of unpredictable and explosive behavior. Trying to rebuild her life, the woman recounted her efforts to return to normal, to resume the activities she once cherished, but the trauma had left a lasting impact. Expert witnesses and prominent animal behaviorists were called upon to dissect Millan's methods. They criticized his emphasis on dominance-based training, claiming it elevated dogs' anxiety and fear, making sudden outbursts more likely. The media frenzy was ceaseless. News channels meticulously reanalyzed clips from Millan's television show, Dog Whisperer, highlighting controversial practices such as pinning dogs, using choke chains, and deploying electric collars. Social media platforms exploded with debate, with hashtags like #CancelCesarMillan trending internationally. As the trial progressed, public opinion became increasingly divided. While some dog owners stood by Millan, crediting him for helping their pets, others, particularly professionals within the dog training community, viewed the case as validation of their long-held concerns about his approach. Then came the betrayals. Several of Millan's former celebrity clients, who had once publicly praised him, began distancing themselves. Jada Pinkett Smith, an early and vocal supporter, released a statement expressing regret, stating that while she had trusted Millan, she now leaned toward more scientifically supported training approaches. Other celebrities soon followed, unwilling to associate themselves with the growing scandal. Yet, not everyone turned away. Millan's most devoted followers, including some high-profile trainers who shared his philosophy, defended him staunchly. They characterized the incident with Simon as a deeply unfortunate accident that didn't reflect the broader scope of Millan's work. Some even suggested that Millan was being unfairly targeted due to his unconventional rise to prominence in the industry. As the trial neared its conclusion, the world watched with anticipation. Would this controversy signal the downfall of Cesar Millan, or would he survive yet another storm? As the courtroom braced for the final arguments, Millan's legal team prepared for their last opportunity to defend the embattled trainer. With his entire career, reputation, and possibly his freedom hanging in the balance, his lawyers sought to reframe the narrative. They contended that Millan was not a negligent or cruel trainer, but a visionary misunderstood in his mission to rehabilitate the most challenging dogs. At the core of their defense was one central argument: intent. They emphasized that Millan never set out to harm anyone, and that he had dedicated his life to giving difficult dogs a second chance when others had given up on them. In court filings, Millan denied all allegations made by the plaintiff, including the widely discussed claim that his dog had attacked and killed Queen Latifah's pet. His attorneys maintained that Simon's case was an isolated incident, not indicative of systemic abuse. To support their defense, they called in a series of character witnesses, former clients, professional trainers, and celebrities who still endorsed his work. One of the most emotional testimonies came from an elderly woman who, with tears in her eyes, described how Millan had saved her service dog from euthanasia, turning it into a calm and loving companion. Her heartfelt story left a deep impression on the courtroom. The defense also leaned on scientific rebuttals. They presented animal behaviorists who defended Millan's methods, arguing that, although they might appear severe, such techniques were essential in particularly extreme cases. These professionals emphasized that strong leadership and controlled discipline were often crucial in transforming aggressive dogs. As for past controversies and previous legal claims, Millan's team dismissed them as sensationalized attacks driven by the media and activist groups opposed to his dominance-based methodology. They claimed his fame had made him a convenient target. The most pivotal moment in the defense came when Cesar Millan himself took the stand. Dressed in a dark suit, he addressed the jury in his signature composed manner. He recounted his humble beginnings, his deep-rooted love for dogs, and his unwavering mission to help animals that others had deemed hopeless. With conviction and sincerity, he tried to remind the court, and the world, of who he truly was and why he started this journey in the first place. Cesar Millan took the stand with sincerity, affirming that his life's mission had always revolved around dogs. He expressed that every canine deserved a second chance and emphasized that it was never his intention to cause harm, whether to humans or animals. His purpose had always been centered on rehabilitation, never on injury. Visibly emotional, he expressed profound sorrow for the tragic incident but insisted that his training approach was not the root cause. Sometimes, no matter how much effort is poured into a case, there are simply dogs that cannot be saved. Simon, he explained, had received every chance he could offer, just like the thousands of other dogs he had helped over the years. His testimony was deeply moving, powerful enough to stir sympathy in the courtroom and momentarily shift public sentiment in his favor. However, any momentum Millan may have gained was quickly disrupted by the prosecution's final argument. The attorneys forcefully reminded the jury of the consistent pattern that had shadowed Millan's career, an unsettling trail of injuries, lawsuits, and troubling accusations. They referenced the show Dog Nation, which featured Millan and his son Andre as they traveled the country tackling misbehaving pets, with Los Angeles being their final destination. While the show highlighted success stories, prosecutors asserted that many dogs had suffered under his care, with disastrous consequences. To underline their point, they presented a chilling video montage of distressed dogs whimpering under Millan's training. Some recoiled as he employed sharp leash corrections and physical dominance. The prosecution highlighted that Simon wasn't the first to bite post-training, he was merely the first to cause such catastrophic harm that legal consequences followed. Their closing argument was scathing. They declared that though Cesar Millan might call himself the dog whisperer, the evidence revealed a disturbing silence, the silence of a dog broken by force, and the haunting quiet of a woman whose life had been irrevocably altered. The jury then retreated to deliberate. For 3 suspenseful days, the world watched anxiously, waiting to learn whether Millan would be exonerated or held accountable. When the judge finally summoned the courtroom, it was packed with reporters and cameras ready to capture the verdict. Millan stood solemnly, his hands clasped, as the charges were read aloud. The courtroom held its breath. On the charge of negligence resulting in bodily harm, guilty. A collective gasp echoed through the chamber. On the charge of animal cruelty, not guilty. Murmurs filled the room. The jury had determined that Millan was responsible for mishandling a dangerous dog, but had not found sufficient grounds to label his conduct as abusive. The next step lay with the judge, who now had to determine the appropriate sentence. After a long and dramatic pause, the judge delivered a firm but balanced decision. Millan received a lifetime prohibition from engaging in professional dog training. This meant he could no longer operate any training facilities, lead rehabilitation programs, or offer services to the public. In addition, he was ordered to pay $2.5 million in damages to the victim, along with covering all legal fees. The sentence also included 3 years of probation, during which he was required to complete community service aimed at educating the public about dog welfare. The ruling sent ripples throughout the industry. Some considered it an appropriate resolution, holding Millan accountable while sparing him total ruin. Others interpreted it as the closing chapter of a controversial legacy rooted in dominance-based methods. The courtroom erupted in emotional reactions, some furious, others satisfied. While Millan's loyal supporters decried the outcome as unjust and politically motivated, his detractors applauded the judgment as long overdue justice for the dogs and people affected by his training techniques. Animal rights organizations celebrated the ruling as a turning point in dog training history. One passionate activist proclaimed it a landmark victory for science-based, humane approaches, adding that no dog should be subjected to outdated and coercive techniques. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, Millan's son Andre reflected on working with his father and growing into the role. With a lighthearted comment about sharing the same shoe size, he conveyed how deeply rewarding it had been to work alongside his dad. For him, it had felt like a dream finally realized. But as the dust settled, the fallout was undeniable. Millan's celebrity allies appeared split. Some continued to defend him, asserting that his contributions to canine behavior should not be forgotten. Others, however, remained conspicuously silent, perhaps hesitant to be associated with the scandal. Facing a sea of media after the verdict, Millan appeared calm but visibly shaken. In his first statement, he said he accepted the court's decision and would continue advocating for dogs in any capacity available to him. "This isn't the end," he said. "It's just a new chapter." Yet the reality was stark. Cesar Millan's era as the dog whisperer had ended. His famed dog psychology center was forced to shut down. Many of his team members either resigned or transitioned to training methods that emphasized science and compassion, distancing themselves from the controversy. His media empire began to unravel. Networks canceled reruns of Dog Whisperer, sponsors cut ties, and his once dedicated fanbase fractured. While some still stood by him, others admitted his methods had not aged well in a world now focused on fear-free training. Despite the overwhelming setbacks, Millan remained resolute. In a heartfelt message, he expressed gratitude to his loyal followers and declared his commitment to continue helping dogs through alternative means. Whispers of a possible reinvention began circulating, perhaps a shift toward canine psychology consulting, or maybe the creation of a nonprofit focused on rehabilitation without direct training. Others speculated he might step away from the dog world altogether, transitioning into motivational speaking or personal coaching. But amid all the speculation, one question lingered: could Cesar Millan ever return? In his absence, the dog training world had already begun evolving, gravitating toward reward-based, gentle methods championed by professionals who had long opposed his dominance-driven style. Some saw this evolution as progress, a long-awaited shift toward empathy and evidence-based behavior science. And yet, even in disgrace, Millan's impact was impossible to ignore. Whether his story was truly over or just entering a new phase, only time would tell. What are your thoughts? Do you believe Cesar Millan's punishment was justified, or was he unfairly singled out? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this journey compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.